Scientific notation. Scientific notation is an easy or shorthand way to write really large or really small numbers. Before I get into some real-world examples, I want you to watch and see if you notice some patterns. 1 times 10, we work in the base 10 number system. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 100 is 100. 1 times 1,000, is 1,000. What do you notice that's happening? Each time we are multiplying by a multiple of 10, we are increasing our place value. So that's multiplying by powers of 10. Now what happens if we divide by 10? 1 divided by 10 is a tenth. 1 divided by 100 is a hundredth. 1 divided by 1,000 is a thousandth. Oops. So when you're multiplying by multiples of 10, your number is getting larger. And when you divide by 10, your number is getting smaller. So let's look at some real-world examples. The population of the world is about approximately 7 billion people. If we were to write that out in standard form, we would write 7 with this many zeros. That's a lot of zeros. Using scientific notation, we can actually make it a little bit simpler. Instead of 7 with 9 zeros, we can write 7 times 10 to the 9th power. The 7 is called your coefficient. And then the 10 is your base, and we're working base 10, and then the 9 is your exponent. So 7 billion can be written as 7 times 10 to the 9th power. And what that means is 7 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, all the way until we've multiplied 7 9 times. Okay, so that is one way to write a really large number. This is the mass of a dust particle. That's a really teeny tiny number. I'd like to see who can tell me the correct mathematical way to say this number. But instead of writing this teeny tiny number, we could express it like this. 7 53/100 times 10 to the negative 10th power. And what that means is 7 53/100 divided by 10 divided by 10 divided by 10 divided by 10, all the way up until we have divided by 10 times. Because remember, when you divide your whole numbers, your value gets smaller. So let's look at a couple of examples and let me show you how to do this. Okay, let's say I have 9 4/10 times 10 to the 3rd power. Well, what's going to happen? You're multiplying to a something by 10 3 times. So you're going to start with your 9 4/10, and you're going to move your place value 3 spaces. So we are going to end up with 9,400. And that's it. It's that simple. Let's say we are going from standard to scientific. All right, let's say we have 125 million. What you're going to do, your decimal point is right here, even though it's not showing, it's right there. So we are going to count the number of places. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. we're going to keep going 7, 8 until we end up with just one number in front of our decimal point. So we had 1 and 25 hundredths times 10 to the 8th power. That's this value. So know that when your power is positive, you're working with a really large number. Now let's say we have 1 and 63 hundredths times 10 to the negative 4th power. If we have something to the negative 4th power, when we write it out in standard notation, then is that going to be a really large number or a really small number? Remember, when you have a negative power, you are dividing, so that makes a really small number. So you're going to take your 1 and 63 hundredths, and you are going to move your decimal point to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would fill in my zeros here. So I have 0 with my decimal point, 3 zeros, and then 1, 6, and 3. All right, what if I have this number right here? Oops. All right, so I want to write it in scientific notation. So I'm going to move my decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places. So it'll end up right here, and I'll have 5 and 4 tenths times 10 to the, how many places did I move it? 6, but remember, this is a really, really small number. It's less than 1, so it's going to be the negative 6th power. So pause and rewind as much as you need until you understand scientific notation. So I would like you to write a summary of the video, including definitions and examples, just 3 or 4 sentences, and then I would like you to create a couple of examples that you can share in class and we can check together.